So many people fail at extracting high quality leads online. And while YouTube is filled with methods that don't really work, what if I told you there's a proper way to do this? In my last video, I walked you through the basics of scraping LinkedIn profiles using Google search results. And someone in my community asked, well, can you also extract emails? And that's when I got to work. I refactored the code to accept email extraction, and I realized that this method had a lot of flaws. And here's the shocking part. A lot of people in YouTube actually praise this method when it actually does not work. So I naturally went and did my research, and I ended up developing a system that extracts higher quality lead information using Google Maps API, as well as handling outreach in bulk. And the best part is that you will be able to manage all of the lead information and all of the automations from a single Google Sheet. I implemented a couple of interesting techniques inside the Google Sheet to make the experience seamless. And in this video, I am going to show you how to build this system from scratch. So stay tuned because we're going to start straight away. All right, let's get to it. All right, so before we move on with the rest of the video, I quickly want to touch on what I mentioned in the introduction. So the limitations of scraping using Google search results, right? So what most YouTube videos out there teach you when they talk about outreach and getting quick leads, easy plus effective method, do it in 5 minutes or something, is that they put this on Google, right? So the way how this works is you put site, then a colon, and then the page, social media site, and then you can put keywords. You can put restaurant London, and then Gmail, Yahoo, and so on. So what happens if you paste that? Let's try it out. Right, so you see that you do get stuff, right? You do get a Gmail, and you do get information that you can scrape directly from the search engine result pages, right? So the way this works is that you have a library such as Beautiful Soup that will go ahead and scrape all of the text that you see from here. What is the issue with this? Well, the problem with this is that the email has to be visible from the Google pages, right? The search result pages. And the only way you're able to do this, or you're able to see the emails on the result page, is if you have your email somewhere around this section in your LinkedIn profile. And let's be honest, not a lot of people write their email where their name is supposed to be, right? So this is going to be a really high volume game. So imagine you're using a scraper and you're scraping thousands and thousands and thousands of LinkedIn accounts through Google result pages like this. You're going to get very few people that actually write their email where their name is supposed to be, right? It's not very common. Sometimes it picks it from the contact information, but it's a hit or miss. Okay, so yeah, this is a very poor approach. You can access the rest of the information right here, but you have to log into a LinkedIn account. And the problem with logging into a LinkedIn account is that if you scrape using your LinkedIn account, there's a really high chance that you get banned. And I suppose that you don't want your account to get banned, right? You can use some other advanced techniques like using proxies and so on, but yeah, that's out of context. That just becomes a bit more complex, and yeah, that just becomes too difficult. So the point is that you get low quality leads because who the hell puts their email where their name is supposed to be, right? That does not happen very often, and therefore it requires large volumes of LinkedIn results to be scraped in order to get a high quality lead out of this, right? So yeah, that's what it is. And if you guessed it right, there's a better way. We're going to use a hybrid scraping approach. We're going to get business lead information from Google Maps. We're going to get the URLs of the businesses given a keyword, so restaurant or law firm, and we're also going to use a location parameter. This is going to allow us to be more granular with what kind of lead information we want to extract, right? It gives us more control. Then we're going to get those URLs, we're going to extract them, and we're going to scrape the sites that are associated with these URLs to look for contact details, right? This is the second scraper. And then we use these emails for mass outreach. This is similar to the previous video where I explained this. But the important thing is, how do you get the contact information, right? This is what has changed between this video and the previous video. All right, so let's go through a demo. All right, so first of all, we're going to go through the backend of the system and how it works. So we have this spreadsheet, which contains 3 smaller sheets. All right, and the first sheet is going to contain all of the inputs that we need to run the 2 scrapers, okay? Scrapers or actors, it's the same thing. So we're going to place all the necessary inputs in here, and then we are going to run an app script from the first sheet, which is going to run the first automation, all right, here in yellow. In this first automation, first of all, we're going to run the Google Maps scraper, which is going to search for businesses given search term and location and some other stuff. And then the scraper is going to extract the URLs of these businesses and some other stuff. And we are going to add all of this into the Google Sheet number 2. All right. Here you will be able to see all this extracted data. In the background, we're going to keep running the automation, and we're going to add a filter to only get those records that we've extracted that contain URLs, because some of them might not have websites, right? Some businesses that are listed on Google Maps might not have a website. And then we are going to format it in a way that the scraper 2 accepts, okay? Then this scraper, based on the URLs, is going to enter inside the websites associated to those URLs, and it's going to scrape those websites and extract all relevant contact details. And we're going to add all of that into the third Google Sheet. And then the important part is that we're adding some filter here that only adds records that contains emails, because then we are going to use these emails to run the second and final automation that's going to do the outreach. Okay, it's going to do the outreach in an automated manner. So it's going to send emails. It's going to send all those emails given the addresses that we picked. Okay, so that's how the system works in a nutshell. All right, so now that you understand how the backend works, this demo should make a little bit more sense. So we are on the first sheet, the run actor sheet, and this one is responsible for running the first automation, which contains the 2 scrapers, okay? So on the left side, you can see the inputs for the Google Maps scraper, and then on the right side, you can see the inputs for the contact scraper. And then you have this button here that will run the first automation. All right, so let's go ahead and look for some contact details. So let's look for law firms in London. Let's put the max number of pages as 50, well, actually 60. Leave this as true. And then I already pre-filled these values already. And if you don't know what these input terms mean, I left here a section so that you can have a read, okay? It defines all of the different inputs and if they're optional or not. But anyways, you can also find this information on Apify. All right, so let's go ahead and run the automation. So let's click here. And now this is running in the background, okay? We're running the first scraper, and this is going to get us results from the Google Maps API, given our search term, right? Law firm and in London. So this is gonna run in the background, and in a bit, we should see some results coming in. And there you go. As you can see, we're getting the name of the business, the category name, right? General practice attorney as well. We get the different types of business. We get the address as well. We get the websites, phone numbers, the Google Maps URL as well. If they're an advert, the rating of the business. And well, this is more for restaurants, right? The price rating and the date scraped. But generally you can even search for more information. And it keeps going, right? So we tell it to look for 60 results for the search term that we added. But yeah, this is pretty powerful. And on the second part of the automation, what we're going to do is get these URLs and pass them onto the second scraper, all right? And now we should be receiving some information over here, okay? So let's wait a bit for it to do the work. And there you go. So stuff is coming in, right? We're getting their email, which is what we want to do the outreach. We're getting the URLs, the original URLs, their phone numbers, and we're even getting, look at this, we're even getting their social media links, right? Which is pretty powerful. And I've only put Facebook and Instagram right here, but there's the option of adding even more social media links, right? So there you go. And now what we can do is send emails to these contacts, right? But I'm not going to do that because I have nothing to send them. But what I can do for the purposes of this demo is to send emails to one of my addresses, okay? So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's delete all this, and now I'm going to put one of my emails. So there you go. And now we are going to add 3 records. So I should be receiving 3 separate emails to my email account, right? So that's done. Now we are going to add the ends right here. Now we are going to click this button right here, okay? This is going to run the script. And now it's going to switch this to a yes because we have ran the automation, which means that we're sending the email to these addresses, right? And now I should be expecting 3 different emails coming on my inbox right now, okay? And there you go. 1, 2, and 3, right? So it works. Pretty cool, isn't it? So I've shown you the demo, I've shown you the backend, and now hopefully you understand the power of this, right? The power of the system that goes through a Google Maps API first, then verifies URLs, and then it collects further contact details by scraping the actual website, right? Now I'm going to show you how I've built the make automations, as well as how to link everything on Google Sheets, and then run the app scripts that trigger the actual automations, all from the Google Sheet itself. All right, so let's get straight to it. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to set the tracker up and set the 2 app scripts, okay? So I will leave a link down in the description so you can download everything, including this tracker, okay? And you should have everything, right? Including the buttons. But anyways, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So let me move this aside. All right, so to add the drop down right here, all you need to do is just right click, and then you will have an option to add a drop down, right? And you can put option 1, and then you can put option 2, right? I'm just showing you how to do this in the case that you have to do it, but you should have everything on the link in the description. Okay, so there you go. So that's for this. All right, and what else? So now you have the button as well. So for the button, you're going to go to insert, and then you have an option here that says drawing, right? And this is how I made the button. Okay, so if you have to create a new button because it doesn't appear once you download this, you can go ahead and create whatever you want, right? You can even go ahead and delete the one that I have if you're not happy with that, and choose another one. So you can do this and then add some text, right? Drop the element down there and click on it, and you can call it whatever you want, right? Run actor or run automation, whatever you want. You can change the size of it, so on and blah, blah, right? Pretty cool. And once you're done with the styling, let's say you want to bold it out, make it a bit bigger maybe. Maybe this will change the font of it if you want. What else do we have? Well, you can make it a bit bigger actually as well. So let's do that. There you go. So, you can spend hours on this, as you can see, but whenever you're done, save and close, and they should pop up, okay? Right now, if you left click it, you should be able to move it around, as well as if you right click it, okay? So we are able to link an app script to this, which is the goal of this button anyways, as we did here, right? If you remember in the demo, I left clicked this and it ran an automation, right? On the background. So that's because I'm triggering an app script that then triggers the automation, right? It sends a webhook in the app scripts here. It sends a webhook, and then that is what allows to trigger the first automation. Okay, so how do you link this button to the app script? Well, you go ahead and hit the 3 buttons here, right? And then you can assign a script. We are going to come back to this in a sec, okay? But anyways, I have the button there, so I'm gonna go and delete that. Go to the same place and delete. And yeah, so that's the first page. That's the second page. There's nothing crazy going on here. Just the titles. of the sheet. And then I added another button here, which is linked as well to the second app script, right? So this one, the send emails.js. Right. So if you actually click here, right click here, and you select the 3 buttons and then you click assign a script, you see that there's a Google script assigned to it. So what it actually is referring to is to the function that is running inside the Google app script. I'll show you right now what that means. Okay, so if you want to open this window, you need to go to extensions, and then you're going to see here app script. Okay, if you don't see this here for some reason, you have to enable a setting that allows you to be in developer mode or something. Okay, there should be tutorials about that. So yeah, that's just in case that you don't have that right now. But anyways, you're gonna hit app script and it's gonna take you to this window. You might not have anything here, so that's why I'm gonna leave these 2 app scripts on the description so that you can just go ahead and paste it right here, okay? And don't forget to save it. But this is the logic that allows us to send information onto Make via this webhook, okay? This is some logic that just ensures that we're sending the right information from the right cells, okay? So we're gonna go through linking first the buttons with the corresponding app scripts, okay? So the runActors.js right here. So the function that we wanna link the button to is called sendTrigger. So you can go ahead and copy that. Go ahead here, come back to the first sheet, select assign a script, and then you can paste it right there, okay? sendTrigger. Select OK. That should be sorted. Great. Now you're going to do the same with the second button here, right, on the last sheet, right? This is a button. So you're going to go to the send emails.js and you're going to copy the function name, right? Once you have that copied, you're going to go ahead, go back here, assign a script, and you're going to paste it right there. Select OK, right? So now every time I hit the button with a left click, it should trigger the script, right? You can try it out. Obviously, it's not linked to anything at the moment, so you can run it as many times as you want. You can do the same here even, right? It works, right? I mean, it works. If you want to know if it's running the right thing for some reason, you can go ahead over here in executions and you can watch when the functions have been triggered, right? So let's run this and you're going to see that it's going to show up here, okay? As you see right there. Just a heads up if you want to know about that and you want to do any troubleshooting. All right, now that we linked everything, I mean, not everything, the buttons to the app scripts, now what we have left from this part is to get the URLs, right? Get the webhook URLs in each of the app scripts. This is going to allow us to send the information onto Make, right? And then we can use that information that we retrieve in Make to dynamically add them into some of the modules in the Make automations, right? If it's not clear, it's okay. I'm going to show you now how that works. But yeah, we are going to do that. Let's start with triggering the first automation, the first Make automation, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So the first step is obviously making an account on Make if you don't have one. I'll also leave a link down in the description. But yeah, if you do have one, log in, create a new scenario, okay? And I will leave these automations as well on the link in the description so you can go ahead, download them and bring them up, and they should be pre-filled automatically, although there's some things that you have to set up, which I will go through right now. Okay, so let's focus on the first automation. First, we have to connect to the webhook so that we receive the information and then we can manipulate it inside Make. So over here, we're gonna unlink that. Right, so you're gonna click on there and you see that you have an address. This is the address that corresponds to this automation right here to run this. So you're gonna copy this address and then you're gonna come back onto the first script, which is gonna run the first automation, if you remember, and you're gonna go all the way down. Let me zoom in, all the way down here, and then copy it in between these two things. I don't remember how they were called, but yeah, in between these two, you're going to paste in your webhook URL. Right, and then don't forget to hit save, okay? Very important. Obviously I didn't change anything, I just removed the URL and added it again. But yeah, this is going to pop up, and then, you know, you have to save it, because then you're not obviously gonna save anything, and that's not good, isn't it? So, all right, let's zoom in. Let's zoom out. And now we should be ready to try sending data onto the first automation, okay? So this script here is made so that it sends information given that we have this exact layout, okay? So search terms are in column A, the location is in column B, and so on, right? It's very accurately, the code is accurately made for this purpose, for the purpose of extracting information from these specific columns and cells, okay? So in order for the code to run correctly, you have to have this exact layout, all right? Don't forget that. This is not involved in the app script because we're not sending this, right? We're sending this and this. This is not included either. But anyways, once you have the layout that you see here, then we can fill in some information just to test it out, because we're not actually running any scrapers or anything. And we're just going to see what we have on the make.com end, okay? So it's pretty clear that this is some test data. And if you run everything correctly, you can go back to make, and you can either redetermine the data structure like this, or you can hit run once, okay? Since we disconnected this webhook module from the rest of the automation, then this is the only thing that you should run, and we're not running anything else. So we're gonna hit run once, and this should be loading, okay? And we're gonna click here, and if everything goes right, then this should trigger. And you should see that we are successfully retrieving information from the Google Sheets. So that's perfect. That means it works. Great. Now that we know we have connected to the first automation, let's actually set up the first automation. All right, let's get straight to it. We can go ahead and connect this back if you want. And the first two modules are going to be the ones responsible for, first, running the actor or the scraper, and then secondly, retrieving information that the actor extracts from online sources, in this case from the Google Maps API. Okay, so we need to set these two up. So I'm going to show you how this first module looks, right? If you don't know where this comes from, well, we are running the actor here, okay? And then, well, it appears like this because it needs to connect to a prior module. But anyways, once you set this up, it should look like this. Don't forget that you have to set a new connection. And the way you do this is by hitting add, and then you are going to need an API token. So you need to get this API token from your Apify account, all right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to come here onto Apify, and I'll leave a link in the description for you to sign into Apify. And yeah, if you have an account already, well, log in and go to your console. And then you are going to go ahead and you're going to go to settings, and then hit on the corner here, it says API. This is where you are going to find, let's see if it's here. No, it's not here because you need to click manage tokens, right? And here you will be presented with your personal API token. This is what you want to copy to the clipboard, and then this is what you want to bring back and then paste in here, okay? I'm not gonna paste it because it might show my token, but once you do that, you should get a connection to your Apify account. Now you need to choose the right actor, okay? So we're going to go back to Apify and have a look at that. All right, so we are going to go on the store, and you're going to first look for the Google Maps extractor, okay? It's one of the main ones here in Apify, so it should be one of your first results. But anyways, you're going to find it, and if you don't find it for any reason, you can search it with this ID, I believe. But once you're here, you are going to start a task, because in that way, it will be logged in into your Apify account, and you will be able to call it from here. I think that's, apparently from my perspective, that's the easier way to do it. You can also map it, so you can put in the actor ID, but let's see if it actually is this. Right, it's not. So, not sure how to get the actor ID, but yeah, this is the easier way, right? So you're gonna run it, and then it's gonna get logged in here, and you should be able to select it from here. So if it's a new account anyways, you do have some usage left. If you don't want to spend too much of that free usage, then obviously you can reduce the number of things that you're searching for, right? So I don't know, just restaurant, but yeah, reduce the number of places that you search, and then, you know, remove anything that's going to involve a lot of costs, right? You just want a test run. That's all you want to do. And once you've done that, you should have it here, and make sure to hit run synchronously, okay? It's very important. I'll explain why in a bit. But yeah, then you're gonna add in this input JSON structure. How do I know what the input body looks like? Well, it's all in Apify, right? If you actually go to the scraper and you hit on input and JSON, you should see a sample JSON body. So the more options that you click, so let's click this one, deeper city scrape. The more things you add on the input, the more things you're going to see in the JSON body. So in that way, you're able to see which input fields are necessary or not, or which ones are optional, okay? So you're going to copy that. If it's not there for some reason, I'm just telling you how to do it from scratch. You're going to go ahead and copy it here. But before you do, it's going to look a bit nasty. Have a look, right? It looks a bit nasty. It should work as well, but you know, for editing reasons, you would want to go to something like JSON Editor Online, and then you can go ahead and paste that there, copy it again, and once you come back and paste it, it should look nice, right? And then you can replace whatever is in between the quotation marks. Some of them have quotation marks, some of them have not. That's just how JSON inputs are shaped. So when it's a Boolean, it's a type of data input. If it's a Boolean, it doesn't have parentheses and all that. And if it's a string, then it will. Okay, if it's an integer, it won't have again. This is the structure of a list, right? Since we can add multiple inputs, right? We are adding it on a structure called list. But anyways, you should have everything there if you download it from the link in the description, okay? So there you go. The only thing that you have to change is obviously these things. It might not be exactly the ones that you're getting, right? You might need to replace those and just get them from here, right? So location query, deeper city, scrape, they should all have the same names because this is all set in the app script, okay? Great. All right, so that's that. So that's going to run the actor, but we need another module in order to retrieve the data, okay? Because this actor is going to create a data set, and then we need to get the records or the data from this data set that the actor makes. So that's why we add this second module. So in order to refer to this variable here, you can either run this, right? Run it to this point and then refer to it like this, right? You should be able to see then all of the different variables that it adds onto here, and it should be somewhere around here. Let's see. So it should be here, right? Or you can do a cheeky little trick, which will be mentioning the variable before it's even created. So you can do 2 curly brackets and then put the module number, put a dot, and then put the name of the variable. So default dataset ID, and then close the curly brackets, and there you go. So it's exactly the same. So that's if you want to do it that way, but I do recommend that you just run this actor and then select it from there, just to avoid any confusion. I'll just show you another way to do it if you ever need to use it, okay? So that's that. Obviously, get the connection sorted for this, set the data transformation to clean, format JSON, and then set the limit to 10,000. So it's up to you to understand how many items you want to return. I think 10,000 is more than enough in this case. But yeah, so that's that. And that is that module set up. All right, now, after we set this, we are on the stage where we're able to mention the dataset items, okay, all the records that we're going to receive from the Google Maps API onto the Google Sheets. So that's what we're going to do, okay? So you will run the scenario up to this point, all right? And then you should be able to refer to the variable. So if you have a look here, you should be able to see the title. So that goes over there. Then the category name should be somewhere over here, the address, the website. And here we're adding some formatting to the phone number because when we are inputting this over here, wait, was it over here, right? There's a field called phone number. If we add the plus as well, which is obviously representing the country code, and then the rest, Google Sheet is going to think that we're considering this as a formula. We're making some sort of calculation. And you see here, right? It turns on to an equal sign, and then it does all of these things. So we don't want that. So that's the reason we are replacing the plus sign from that country code with an empty string, right? This is how you represent an empty string, right? So that's that. And then we will be adding the other variables as they are. And then we come here again and we do some formatting on the date, because the date that we retrieve always appears in this ugly format, right? So if you see on the demo, you can see it on a very neat format, and that's what we're doing here. We're converting it to this day, month, and then year, and then hour, minute format. And once that's actually in the Google Sheet, you need to do one more thing, especially with the date. You need to make sure that it's in the right format, because then it's going to show in a weird way, right? So you're going to go ahead and select that as the date time format. Great, and that's pretty much it for this module. Okay, you can hit OK and make sure to hit save. All right, so now these next steps are basically obviously running the actor here, but before this, in this part, we are formatting the URLs so that the Apify actor understands what we are inputting in it. I'm going to break this down. So we are basically with this, in this section, we are extracting information from businesses from Google Maps. And some of these records have websites, some of them don't, right? Because not all businesses that are on Google Maps have a website URL. So we're only going to pass through those that actually have a website URL, because this Apify actor needs URLs in order to scrape inside them, right? It needs the URLs to scrape the websites associated to that URL in order to scrape inside that website and get all the contact details, including the emails that we're going to use later to do the mass outreach, right? So that's what we're doing here, right? We're literally saying if website exists, then go ahead and, keep going with those records. If it doesn't exist, then we are not going to let it pass through this part of the automation. So that's that. And then we have this module here. So these two modules are basically formatting these URLs so that we collect them in a thing called a list. All right, so now that you understand that, let's go ahead and have a look at how to set up this module here. So you're going to make the connection as we did before. Then we are going to refer to this actor. All right, so once again, you're going to search for this actor on the store, right? Let's see how it's called. So contact info scraper. So it's this one, right? And you're going to do the same, right? You're going to do a test run with the minimum inputs that you need to run it, just so that you can refer it here. And you're going to select again, run synchronously. Why? I told you I was going to explain later, and now it's when I'm going to explain it. So basically, if we don't run it synchronously, then when we hit this module, it's going to run in the background, right? The actor is going to run on the Apify server. And whilst it's running, we're going to pass on to the next module. But what's the problem with this? Well, the problem with this is that we are referring to a data set that is created once the actor has finished running. So if we don't wait for the actor to finish and then we go on to the next module, then we're trying to get information from a data set that hasn't not been created yet, right? So hopefully you see what I mean with this. So that's why you have to run synchronously, stay in this module until the Apify actor has finished its run. And then once it has finished its run and it has therefore created its data set, then you can go ahead and collect the records inside that data set, right? So that's why it's so important to select this as yes. And obviously I explained this one already. So you're gonna get this from the previous module. And you can see here, you can have a snippet of how this looks, right? But yeah, that's what you put. And then these variables are going to come from this webhook module. So this is why before you hit run actor, you should have all of the inputs already added in for the two actors, because we are referring to both of these in this webhook module. And then we need to refer to some of those variables over here. So that's that. And then you're going to leave this blank. But anyways, this should all be filled up already. And the only thing you have to do it would be to just select the variables and all that. Okay, great. Leave this as blank, as I said, and there you go. So that's that. And then the second one, well, as I said before, it's basically the same as the previous Apify modules. You're going to select the default dataset ID once it's been created. Data transformation clean, JSON, and then set the limit to 10,000. If you think that's kind of the maximum you're going to retrieve, leave this as it is, leave it blank, and there you go. That's it. Don't forget to save, very important. And yeah, now we're adding another filter. We need this filter because we only want to pass the results that contain emails. And you're going to see here that it has a funky format, right? So it doesn't look like this. Let me explain you why right now. So we only want records that contain emails, first of all. But we are also selecting this rather than the list variable, because we're saying basically if the email exists, right? But if we select the list variable, it could be the case that there's no emails, right? The list is an empty string, but that still means that the email list exists, right? So what you need to do is select the first element of the list. So that's kind of a way to know that there is an email, because there is an element inside the list, right? We're not mentioning the list, we're mentioning the element inside the list. Okay, hopefully that made sense. But if you have any questions, obviously ask ChaTgPt or whatever, or Perplexity, or leave a comment down below and I will be happy to answer, okay? But that's what I'm doing right here. And then we are obviously adding all of the relevant dataset items or variables onto our Google Sheet, because then we are going to be sending these emails on an app script onto the second automation here, okay, onto this webhook. But we're doing this, okay? So select them. Obviously, you're going to have the Google Sheet, this Google Sheet as well on the description. So go ahead and download that if you want, and then select these variables here. As I said, select the elements, and then we're adding the same formatting as we did with the phones before. And very important, make sure that you're inputting the records. You also add this N, all right? Because this is part of the logic that's needed in order to send the emails, right? Because basically the app script in the background, the second app script here is going to check whether it has an N. So if it has an N, it means that the emails have not been sent. Therefore, we are sending them, because once they get sent, they get turned to yes. Of course, you can change the app script logic so that it also considers blank cells, but for the purposes of keeping this clean, I'm already adding the N over here, okay? I'm not leaving any blanks, just so that it's clear to read, all right? So that's that. And that's pretty much it for this. And there you go. So that should be the first automation set up. All right, so now we are going to set up this second automation, but in order to trigger this automation, we need to set up this app script, right? The second app script. So once again, I'm going to leave this in the description. So go ahead and download it, or you can figure it out from here, whatever you think is best. But the only thing that you need to do from here is, if I zoom in, you are going to replace this with your actual, so you should have a webhook address here, right? So copy that and paste that right here, right? There you go. And save it. Don't forget to save it, okay? The good thing is that compared to other stuff such as this block automation, you're not setting any complex triggers that depend on the change of state of the Google Sheet, right? These are very simple, so you don't need to set any triggers or anything, right? It's literally just this app script with your webhook URL, and that's pretty much it. And then you're going to go back here, and then you are going to refer to this script here. So if you see, this function is called send emails, right? I think we've gone through this already, but I'm doing it again just to make sure. So send emails, and there you go. So now when you trigger this, you should see that the script is running. Obviously it's not triggering this because I didn't run it, but yeah, that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to send in, the important thing is the email. That's the kind of the only thing we're sending here. The rest is just for your own reference. Okay. And obviously you can change this automation to do other stuff like sending messages on Instagram, on Facebook. There's other social media platforms as well that you can outreach on. But yeah, there was some other settings in this Apify actor, right? It was getting other social media platforms. I left it as Facebook and Instagram for now. But yeah, so that's that. And we're going to test it, okay? So I'm going to put contact@fglabs.co just as an example, because we're only getting the emails from column C. And let's run this second automation, wait for new data, and let's click here. Well, actually, you see that it's not sending anything because we have to add the N. We're testing this manually, so we have to add that. Once you run the whole automation, once you run this automation as well, and it gets to this point, all of the data is going to be added onto here with the N as well. Okay, so you wouldn't have to worry about this. It's just that we're testing it manually. So now it should work, okay? So I'm gonna come back here, click send emails, and this should run, right? There you go. And this is gonna appear inside a bundle, an array, and a collection. And there you go. So that's your email right there. Right, so now you can go ahead and connect that, and now you know it works. So now we have this iterator, which basically just collects this single bundle and separates it into individual bundles. So what does this mean? Well, it means that we're not sending one object with multiple emails. We're sending these emails one by one, which is what you want, right? Because then this automation is not going to work. And then before we're sending the emails, we are adding a delay. So this delay is very important so that our email has less chances of being, or our address has less chances of being considered as spam. So we want to essentially, the time it takes to write an email, right? So you can put it as 90 seconds. So you can add that right there. And then we get to the email. And obviously you will be putting the email field, and I just put this as test, but you can put the name of the person. You can create another variable that depicts the name. Yeah, and this is the body content, right? I suggest that when you're sending a message, you don't add any HTML, okay, and you keep the message simple. Because if you start adding HTML, from experience, there's a higher chance you get put into the spam folder, okay? So just mimic as if you're sending a normal message to someone, right? Like a 2-liner or a 5-liner, right? Just a small paragraph to make it look human. So that's that. And then obviously you put the subject here. And the cool thing with Microsoft 365 is that you can set the importance to high, low, or normal. So yeah, something cool about this. But as I add this, you can also add a normal email module, right? Like this, right? Or you could add a Gmail module as well. So for example, you can add a Gmail module as well, right? The thing with Gmails is that it's a bit hard to verify through here. You can do it, but you'll see it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. So I recommend you to either use this one or an Outlook module, okay? But anyways, just test it and see what you like most, right? This part is more of an example. And yeah, based on the information that you retrieve from the scrapers, you can do whatever you want, right? You can build a multi-step outreach system that sends messages on multiple social media profiles or different social media applications, right? So there's a multitude of possibilities with this, right? Hopefully you can understand the potential of this. But for now, we're just sending emails. If you have any questions about any other systems that you want me to build, just let me know down in the comments and I will be happy to consider that, okay? So yeah, so that's the second automation. And I think I've went through everything else, right? So we went through this, we went through this tracker, and then we've talked about setting this right here, right? And the fact that, you need to understand which input fields are optional or not. But don't worry, I left a little guide here, a little definition section so that you can understand which fields are optional or not. But anyways, if you want to know about other terms that you can add onto the Apify scraper tools, you can always go ahead and have a deeper look at the actual actor on the UI, right? And there's information here, you can read through that as well, and so on and so on, and start exploring. Great, so that should be it. All right, if you reached to this point, I congratulate you, well done. That was not an easy build. And hopefully now you understand the potential of Apify scrapers and the power of putting all this inside Google Sheets, right? So you're able to see how to trigger app scripts that send information onto webhooks and trigger automations on Make, right? All from Google Sheets by clicking buttons essentially, which is, I think it's pretty cool and pretty powerful, right? It just makes life so easy. And adding some custom logic inside those app scripts in order to make everything a bit more civilized inside the Google Sheet, right? So if you liked that video, give me a thumbs up and give me a follow to see more videos like these. And if you didn't like the video for some reason, please let me know down below in the comments, okay? Any feedback is good feedback. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm gonna go have some dinner and I'll see you in a bit.